Man, has it really been nearly 3 years since we had a DB12 video on the channel? The answer is yes. That was entirely rhetorical. It was mostly just for me. Welcome to the 2023 DB12 guide. Before we get started today, you should know that we're going to be talking about a lot of teams, and every single one of them features Word. So if you don't have one, or if you just don't have him ruined, you should do that and go to the place where you can fuse him. It's the fusion hexagram. And if you're not quite sure how to rune him, we have a video on the channel that's designed to teach you exactly how. In fact, we have a how to rune video for every single member of the Summoners War Holy Trinity, Fran, Lauren, Verd. And Fran and Lauren are the other part of what will eventually become known as the shell of your Dragons B12 team. They should be runed similarly to how you rune them for Giants B12. Now the last two units fall into the following two archetypes, damage and a secondary stripper, because Lauren has a tendency to use her skill 2 at frankly inopportune times. Let's start with the latter. El-Sharion the Light Ifrit is the first option for a secondary stripper, and he lives in the ancient coin shop in the form of pieces. El-Sharion is great because he has no choice but to try to strip every single time he attacks. His passive says that he'll try to steal one beneficial effect from the target and give it to every member of the team. There's also something in there about doing additional damage, so that means you can rune him on damage, and thus he can contribute even further beyond what you're bringing him to do. Next is Bernadette the Fire Shadowclaw, who is also a neighbor to El-Sharion, meaning he's available in the Ancient Coin Shop, just in case, just in case that wasn't clear. So the only thing about Bernadette is that he's a little bit dangerous because his third skill really requires him to crit on every single hit in order for it to have maximum efficiency. But he does end up having two different skills that can strip, and he can apply a brand on the target, which really helps with annihilating the boss faster. Bernadette the Light Inugami has three extremely relevant skills in a defense break, a strip, and an attack bar boost plus a heal. And notably, Bernadette is a very smart dog and will only try to strip if there is immunity to remove. And just as a heads up as well, your secondary stripper should probably be runed to move before Lauren. And the reason for that is, if for some reason she does not have her skill 2 available, then she won't be able to apply defense break until after the immunity has been stripped. So if you move Bernadette to move first, he can remove the immunity off the boss, then Lauren can use the skill 1 because presumably she used skill 2 at the wrong time, and then your damage dealer can go and deal the big damage. By the way, technically speaking, 2A Rauk doesn't have a strip. Well, actually, literally speaking, he doesn't have a strip. But you can run him in place of a second stripper because his team up reduces cooldowns. So in the case that he brings Lauren, he'll reduce the cooldown time of her skill 2, thus making it come back online faster. And hey, he'll also pull Vern on occasion, giving you more attack bar. Your damage options include the following monsters. They're also not limited to the following monsters. These are just farmable examples. First of all, it's Second Awakened Crow, who you were presumably using at the end of your starter team in Giants B12. He is one of the best damage dealers early, and his usability goes even into Dragons B12. You should just be aware that because he is a single target damage dealer, you might face some adversity on your way up to the boss when all those defense breaks are coming out from the towers and they're not being controlled. And as far as controlling those enemies go, Sigmaris is still a great option as well. Sigmaris has 3 skills that crowd control. The third one is an AoE freeze. And she deals damage based on the enemy's max HP, so when you get to the boss, she'll deal a ton of damage to it. The next option is Second Awakened Spectra. Spectra's fun because he can also reduce the attack bar on the tower that's trying to put immunity on the boss, thus making it so that your strategy is a little bit more stable because you don't have to worry about getting the immunity off of the dragon as quickly as you normally would. And he's also got big damage on skill 2. Which we love. To this day, Spectra is still part of the team I use to clear TOA hard. Mostly because I go out of my way to try to clear it with farmable units, but still, Spectra's incredible. And the last one that I'm going to talk about here is Veramos the Dark Ifrit. Thanks to a few meaningful buffs, Veramos can now be used as a damage dealer in addition to a support monster. So while he's also got the job of removing the dots that the tower on the left is trying to put on your team, now he can also contribute damage once the boss has got defense break on him. So now that you know some of those units, let's briefly talk about the runes before going into the hyper efficient teams. Verd should be runed in whatever way gets him to 100% crit rate. In these starter teams, you want him to be on the tankier side. You can worry about damage later down the line. Fran and Lauren should both be as close to 20,000 additional HP as possible, as close to 100 additional speed as possible, and Lauren should have about as close to 80% accuracy as possible. That number is a little bit more loosey-goosey than it used to be, though I find that 80 is an admirable one to aim for. We talked about this a little bit before, but your secondary stripper should probably be ruined to move ahead of the Lauren, so that way she'll be available to apply defense break just in case she's on cooldown. Swift, speed, HP is okay in most cases unless you're Bella Dion and you need some accuracy. Don't forget that you can also find accuracy for these skills in the substats of your artifacts. If you're going the route of Bernadette, then you should make sure that they have 100% crit rate so you land all the crits you can for the third skill. And as a rule of thumb for your damage dealers, they can be ruined on Rage, Fatal, or Violent whenever possible. Considering that you're going to be coming from GB12 to your Dragons B12 team, all of your units are probably going to be on Swift and Fatal at the start of this transition, but eventually you're probably going to want to try to move Fran, Lauren, and as many units as you can over to Violent for this. However, your damage dealers can still be on Rage or Fatal if you so choose, and one thing to note is that your damage dealers should be ruined to move last on your team, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they should be slow. You should try to have them ruined so that they have at least 42-ish additional speed so they don't get cut by the boss. Now that the starter teams and their variations are out of the way, we can move on to the hyper-efficient teams. First of all, let's talk about the dot team. You technically can use the dot team in DB12. Heck, you can even bring Verd on it. However, it should be noted that I am not the dot team's biggest fan in Dragons B12 because I find that it has some high variance. If you do go this route, you may want to consider targeting the tower on the right first because you don't normally run a stripper on this team, so once that immunity goes up on the dragon, it's pretty much game over. But if you can reliably clear it just going face on the boss, more power to you. And of course, there's Trickaroo. Verd didn't like his job as a vampire, so he took up dog walking. Trickaroo aims to get 3 second awakened Icaroos, each with 3,300 defense so they can pull the entire team. And notably, your primary damage dealer for this team is Verd. So this time, he's ruined on either Rage or Fatal, 100% crit rate, high crit damage, and high attack. If you want more details on this team, check out the How to Ruin Icaroo video on the channel. There we go, guys. That's the DB12 2023 guide. I hope this helped. If you have any additional questions, leave them in the comments section down below, and I'd be more than happy to help. We also stream on the Come To Us USA Twitch channel and right here on YouTube, and I try to do monster reviews and progression tips on that channel pretty frequently. So if you want to come by, ask questions, and I'll give you personalized tips, I'd love to see you there. Bye-bye, everybody. See you next time.